Sunday, May 29th, 2021. And what I want to talk about is actually a true story that occurred on the morning of May 29th, 2000, in the city of Sun Valley, a love triangle murder. And I happen to be an ear witness to the murder. And what I'm going to say is based on this, but I'm going to share the story first because it leads to this. So on that early morning, about 8:30, more or less, uh, I happened to have the stomach flu. So for 3 days, and that morning I was laid out when I was awakened by the apartment upstairs stomping sounds. I live downstairs in apartment 6, above me, apartment 19, and it sounded like they were fighting. And I want to say this went on for about 5 straight minutes before the stomping sounds suddenly stopped. So I figured they stopped fighting or whatever they were doing. But then that morning, I was living at my mom's pad. That morning, she happened to be washing. So she was going in and out the door. And then suddenly I hear her shout. But that shout sounded just different. So it made me hop out of bed, go to the living room, see what it is. And I see my mom standing at the door with this terrified look, points outside. So I open the door, I look outside, and right in front of my home is a man laying down. And in front of my living room window, it wasn't a front yard, but it was a dirt area where my mom had her aloe vera plants, her yerba buena plants, ruda plants, on that dirt area. But the man was laying in the dirt area with a belt around his neck. So somebody called the police. Police came over, checked out the scene at the apartment upstairs, and then the investigators came downstairs and questioned us. And when they questioned me, I just told them, what I heard. And then, so what happened is that the woman that lived upstairs, now it was a Memorial Day weekend, so they happened to be drinking all night, and she was there with her ex-boyfriend. And then that morning, when I heard those stomping sounds, it's because she, after drinking all-nighters with her ex-boyfriend, she tells him, bye-bye, I'm engaged, I'm going off to a honeymoon. So the man, in jealousy, rage, started off with a fight, ended with him stabbing her to death. So she bled to death. And then right after, he tried to take his life by putting a belt around his neck. He tied it to the rail that is in front of the apartment upstairs door. He tied the belt to the rail, but when he threw himself over, this man was kind of, is that word? Stalking? So the weight of himself, the belt snapped, and he landed not on the concrete, but on the dirt, which kept him alive. And he lay there motionless because probably the wind got knocked out of him. So, he got arrested. And about, I want to say a couple months later, I received a subpoena to show up to appear to San Fernando Superior Court for this murder trial. I showed up on that date, and the defendant's lawyer asked me, "Would you hear that morning?" I told them it sounded like a tug of war because they were going back at it, back and forth at it, fighting till he stabbed her to death. And make a long story short, he got 25 years to life. Now, the reason I'm telling this story, not because it's 21 years later today, but because what I'm trying to say. But I have to share this story first because it leads to what I'm going to say. Fast forward a year later, a Mexican family from Sinaloa moves into the apartment upstairs. And one day, out of curiosity, my mother asked the lady, Norma, have you ever experienced anything in your apartment? And the lady said, now that you say that, just the other night, I woke up in the middle of the night and at the entrance of my apartment, on my bedroom, I saw a silhouette of a woman. I woke up my husband. He looked in that direction and then told her, he didn't see anything, so he told her, "You're illusioning." But now, at a murder trial in court, they show you the blueprints of the apartments in detail, from closet to windows, detailed. And when they showed the photographs of the murder of the woman, it was a graphic photo. It was just looked like a bloodbath. She got stabbed to death, and it was at the entrance of the bedroom of the apartment above me. And that's where the lady said that she saw the silhouette at the entrance of her bedroom. Now, there's a American film movie called The Grudge. It's in English. However, originally the movie The Grudge is in Japanese. So I guess this American director just made an English version. Now, there's an old Japanese belief that if a person dies in rage, the spirit remains there where the person died, in that spot. What a coincidence that in court murder trial, the horrific photos showed the woman dead at the entrance of the apartment upstairs, and the woman who moved in a year later into that apartment saw the silhouette of a woman in the entrance of her bedroom, exactly where the woman was stabbed to death. So that silhouette of the woman may have been that woman. I know she died in rage because I heard for several minutes both of them going at it until he took her life. So this old Japanese belief of the grudge, if a spirit dies in rage, the spirit is there. I believe it based on concrete evidence that the Superior Court murder trial showed me. The story of the woman who moved in a year later. The stories are identical. They match. So I believe that if a person dies in rage in that spot, he or her spirit will remain there or be there or appear at one time or another. So yeah, that's what I want to share. This was a true story that occurred 21 years ago today. And that's what I was trying to say.